Good afternoon and welcome to Stockton Con for our first panel of the afternoon and the first of 2 days here in Stockton. Of course, right to my right are a couple cosplayers that you can find up on the upper level.
No, come to the panel room.
And of course, you come to the panel room to talk to the cosplayers as well. Any questions you might have, feel free to raise your hand. But we'll first start with the two ladies to my right. Just introduce yourselves and tell us what you're wearing today. Almost feel like this is a fashion show. And then, talk about, how long it took for you to create this costume you have on.
I know, fashion shows, nothing new for us since we both participate in the Geek Fashion Show. So I'm Cindy Rue Cosplays. I am a drama teacher. I actually teach prop and set design, so it's one of the things that I do. Actually, this cosplay was not too hard to do because the only part I had to do any sewing on was actually the sash, which I have around my waist because it was gifted to me. So occasionally you get things gifted to you, and just happens to be one of those. I do all my own makeup and wig styling, so I have taken classes and things like that, as well as I teach it to my students, and I think that covers everything you said.
Oh. Sorry about that. Oh, my mic's not on. Oh. That's okay. Oh. Hi. I have two mics now. Hello? No, I'll just use this one. We can share. We're all friends here. Hi, I'm Lollipop Heidi Cosplay. You could either call me Lollipop Heidi or Lollipop Heidi, because that's both of them combined. I am from SoCal, so Southern California, and I would have brought in a bigger costume if I could fit it in my suitcase. So today I'm cosplaying as Bunny Suit Viper from the mobile/video game called Nike Goddesses of Victory. This is a purchased costume, sadly, so I did not make any of it because I can't fit some of the costumes I make in my suitcase. I will be wearing a costume I made tomorrow, but so this only took me about 10 minutes to do. I did style and make the horns myself, but about when I make cosplays, it's me and my mother together. We are a mother-daughter duo. She does not like going to conventions, though, so it's just me solo when I do all this stuff. I'm in charge of, obviously, makeup, wigs, and props while she does some of the sewing parts. I also do all the research because I am an anime nerd. I think that covers that.
Absolutely, and you talk a little bit about, and we have the mic right over here, but talk a little bit about traveling to the different cons and traveling smart, I guess is the best way to describe coming to each con.
Yeah, so I have to choose my costumes very carefully based on destinations. If it's something closer, I bring my big guns. I bring the big props, the big costumes, stuff that I know won't get damaged by UPS, FedEx, airlines, Delta, Alaska, anyone that could possibly damage my costumes. There have been times where I've brought in bigger costumes on flights. The easiest way to do it is put big old notes that say, "This is a prop. Please don't touch. If you have to touch, put it exactly how it's supposed to be back in." That doesn't always work, sadly, but you try. But yeah, that kind of explains that.
Yeah, mine definitely is mode of transportation. If I'm driving to a con, then I will bring the props and everything. But if I'm flying, like when I went to Dragon Con, I think I only took one prop because it was small and a stuffed animal. So everything else needed to fit in my suitcase and everything. But when I'm driving, the glory thing is having a car. And so the big props can go in and it's much easier. So anything further than LA, I fly. LA, I normally will drive to. And I was going to say, I also do the note thing. Dear scanners, if you are seeing something that looks odd, I am a cosplayer. These are the current props in my suitcase. And then I list what props are included in my suitcase just so they don't freak out. But I will be taking Heidi's advice and adding the line of, please put back as found, because I think I need to do that.
So you're saying like Delta baggage claim doesn't like open it up and go, what the heck is in here, and then bring you out,
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Now you guys have gone from not just being cosplayers at cons, but also traveling the country and kind of building your brand. Talk a little bit about how you specifically build your brand and actually show off what you do and what you create.
I think it's community, the sense of community, and by introducing yourself to people and meeting them and talking to them, and definitely giving credit where credit is due. I think that is one of the biggest things. For example, when you work with a photographer, make sure that you give them credit. Make it known, because when you go to the next con or something, that photographer is going to remember, hey, they gave me credit. I want to work with them again. They're going to let their photographer friends know, hey, yeah, they're a great cosplayer to work with. They give credit and everything. And I always like to say, sometimes even if it's just your mom or your sister taking your photo for you, give them the credit too, because, they helped, and they got you out there. Yeah, give yourself that credit too.
Your selfies say photo by me.
Yep. And definitely, I totally agree with that.
I would say my brand is just myself. It's very important to be true to yourself and very much, I don't know how much more to say other than just be yourself. So by being truly to me, which is this weeaboo, nerd, anime obsessed video game player, I'm able to connect to people because they're also like that. And it's a lot of fun because then you find similarities. I've met some of my closest friends by just being myself and bonding over the same animes, the same video games, the same comics even. Just being like, yeah, if you like this as much as I do, we could hang out and talk about this. And then we could watch it. And then we could be it. Oh my God.
Let's bring it to life. Okay.
I guess that's as much as I'm going to say on that.
Okay, I just got to expand on that one. Let's bring it to life. So I had never done villains before, and this past year I started adding some villains to my repertoire, and I did Sith Lord from Old Republic, Darth Zana, and all of a sudden, when you're researching a certain cosplay, sometimes you come across other things, and I came across this hood, and this hood was dark red and amazing, and it had these long, and just my nerdy sewing brain said, I want to make that. So I've been pondering on it for 2 months now, and finally I dropped to my friends and I'm like, is anybody interested in doing the Dathomir coven? Because I need to make this red hood.
And when you're talk a little bit how you go about researching different cosplays, and what's kind of the tips of the trade.
Yeah, so because I'm more anime based, the obvious answer is obviously watch the anime. But when I'm researching a character, I choose cosplays that I really care about and characters that I love. I'm very passionate about really cosplaying characters that I felt a connection to prior to choosing to cosplay them. And then once I've decided to cosplay them, it's very much I check to see other cosplayers and what they've done. I look for reference photos. A lot of character designers put just free reference for the character images online where you can see front, side, back, with hair, no hair covering certain parts, and then just kind of going from there and just obsessing over these characters. I also have a tendency to buy, if there's figures available, I tend to buy the figure of the character and use a lot of that as reference.
So I think pretty much the same exact thing. I have been known to sit there and rewatch a movie and sit there with my phone and take photos. So when I was trying to do General Leia's vest, which there are no patterns for, there's nothing for, I sat there and I rewatched that scene, I'm not going to lie, about 50 times and took photos. And when she would turn, I'd pause it and took photos just so I could see how the flaps laid, where it inserted, where the pocket exactly was, according to the seams and things like that. And then I finally found a men's vest pattern that was very similar from the 70s and was able to then change it and draft it so that it looked like General Leia's. So yeah, but everything else that she said, just check it out, look at photos, watch the shows, read the books. When you read the books, watch for when the author gives you those details. And I will tell you, a lot of the time, if you cosplay from the book, it will not be the same as the movie, the anime, or the cartoon. And so sometimes you may have people that be like, you don't look like Bellatrix Lestrange. I'm like, well, if you refer to the book, I do, you know. But just be prepared and don't let that defeat you.
I want to expand on that for a second. I'm currently rereading My Dress Up Darling, which is a manga/anime about a cosplayer and a seamstress, or would it still be stress if it's a male? Stress, like a seamstress. He makes the costumes. And literally, I was reading a chapter last night, and it was about the part where they're making a character costume where the reference images don't really exist. And basically, you have to think of every cosplay is your version of that character. It's as accurate as you believe it's accurate. So if you believe it's accurate, it is then. And I was just like, I so just like clicked with that. And I was just like, yeah, if I want to add sparkles, I'm going to add sparkles because that's what I want. And that's what I believe that character would be wearing. So just to expand on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Goes that way.
And are there certain forums out there that, you know, obviously there's the cosplay community, but forums that you guys use to go, hey, you know, I'm doing this project. What do you think? Hey, you know, has anyone, you know, done this project before? That sort of thing.
Because I've been doing cosplay for so long, I have an extensive Facebook friend group that I can just reach out to. But I do know a lot of cosplayers will reach out to Reddit. There's, back in the day, used to be reach out to DeviantArt. But I do know there's Facebook forums for cosplay like builds as well that people are very active on.
Especially when it's something really old, that they see and they're like, what is this? And then somebody, especially for Star Wars, there's all kinds of found items.
Oh, yeah, and we don't gatekeep. If you ask me how I made something, I'm going to tell you exactly how I made it, where I bought stuff, what I wished I had used instead, and I'm going to let you know. But I'm also a part of a She-Prop community, and being a member of She-Prop, we have a very extensive forum that you can join and participate with, and you just go to somebody, hey, I'm making dragon scales, and I'm not sure what to use. Do you have any ideas? And all of a sudden, you will be flooded with like, I use this, and people will be like, I wish I had used this, and then somebody else will be like, this is how I did it. And trust me, nobody did it the same way. And you may take a mixture of the different ways that are suggested to you and combine them. And yeah, so Instagram, Facebook, they all have great forums.
Even if you just use Google and YouTube,
Yep.
That's a big part of like, I want to know how this person dyed a wig. I'm just going to Google how to dye a wig. And then I find 8 videos on it and watch every single one of them. Or skip through some of them just to make sure if they're using the same thing as something I already watched, I like just do the little fast forward button and I'm like, oh yeah, I got that one. Next one.
Now, Cindy, when you're teaching the high school students in the drama classes, what type of tips do you give them who are just maybe starting out and trying to find their voice, find their passion, and really as a teacher, what do you kind of relay to them?
One of the most important things that I think that I relate to them is that cosplay does not have to be expensive. Found objects are amazing. And just as an example of this, we were doing a Dr. Seuss parody of Romeo and Juliet. And the guy who toots the horn at the beginning, I don't know what he would be, the guy in the court, whatever. The tutor. He needed a weird, not a simple horn. It had to have an accordion, a piano, a horn, as it's described in the script. So I looked at my students and I said, okay, this is what we need. We need a tissue box, an empty toilet paper roll, we need some foam clay, we need paint, and we need glue. And they went and they acquired these items, and we then put together this cool little thing that looked like a piano tooting horn, and they were like, that was so fun. And that's what we do, I'm like, okay, so then we made a pizza, and I'm like, okay, so what do you guys think we need for the pizza? And they're like, cardboard. And I'm like, go find cardboard. Let's cut us a circle. And then we did the clone fay and plaster of Paris. And then I'm like, okay, we need toppings. They're like, felt? Yep. And so I just let them brainstorm, and while they're brainstorming, I encourage them. And it's funny because we come up with these props, and they were all found items in the classroom. Every once in a while, we do have to, we had to make a boat. And I'm like, okay, I have to go get plywood. So let's go get, you guys will have to wait till next week. But that's the main thing that I do, is try to let them know that it doesn't have to be expensive. And I had a girl that was doing Moondrop. Is that right? Moondrop? I think it's Moondrop from Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh. And she needed a spinning face.
I know who you're talking about.
So I was like, you know what you could do? You can go buy a Lazy Susan, or you can get 2 paper plates with a little brad and put it in it, and then the outer one will spin, and you just elastic the front one and cut your eyes and everything.
I'm just going to expand on the cosplay doesn't have to be expensive thing. Thrift shops are amazing. You buy a shirt, cut it up, reuse that fabric, or maybe the shirt is already in the style, but you just need to change the collar. That a good chunk of my cosplays are just refurbished other clothes into becoming a different cloth.
My entire Ty Lee is a sheet and a tablecloth from the thrift store.
And final question for both of you. What would you say to your high school self about cosplaying, then thinking about how you were in high school and now?
I wish I could tell her that she should have been brave and held up to her true geek nerdy self instead of trying so hard to fit in. I feel that nowadays it's a little bit more accepting in the world, but when I was in high school, it was kind of hard to be the nerd and the geek, and I don't know. It was also hard because I was both the jock and the straight A student, and my 2 worlds, even my 2 worlds of friends, didn't mesh. My comic book friends didn't mesh with my soccer-filled friends, and I loved both of them. And that's one of the things about me, is I believe that you can love everybody, and you don't have to have that big divide. And that's what I also try to teach my students and my own children is, I don't know if you guys have seen that, be you-tiful. Literally, be you, because then you are beautiful.
That's so sweet. Mine's a little different of a story because I did start cosplaying when I was in high school. And so like halfway through my school years, I transferred schools into an art school. And suddenly my brain was just like, I'm going to just be open about who I am. I'm going to a new school. I'm going to wear the anime backpack. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to have my t-shirts on. I'm not going to hide it anymore. And that was honestly the best decision I ever could have made because here I am now. If I had never done that, I would never have been a cosplayer. So I would just tell my high school self to just do that. You're good.
Well, thank you to Cindy and Heidi. You guys are up on the second floor. And be sure to visit them throughout the 2 days of Stockton Con. I'd like to thank you, too, for taking the time this afternoon. And we talk comic books next with 10 Ton Comics, which is a small publishing house, and how they build out their comic book graphic novels and that sort of thing. So thank you, guys, and we'll see you upstairs.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Coming so
guys.
early.
No, I'm not going. Yeah, sorry. I was doing over 30, but I'm now not doing it. So I'm hoping a fan expo of San Francisco.
My next event is anime.